pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Thank you. Something's going across the feedback there. Oh, look, that sounds great. Thanks, Jerry. We have a nice mayor's report. Maybe. The first thing would be the presentation. Police Chief David Halfhill would like to introduce our newest recruit, Mallory Kabala, and promoting Officer Getz to the rank of sergeant. So, Chief, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, I know I don't have I can speak pretty loud.
There you go.
Okay.
We share around here.
All right, so I guess we're going to do Mallory first. We'll just do a oath of office for Mallory. She can come up. Mallory is our new hire. She'll be going to the police academy October 30th. It's a 20-week class, and with vacation, or I'm sorry, with the holidays and stuff like that, she's not going to get done till probably sometime in April. I think April 15th or some along those lines. Mallory is a Dayton resident. She grew up in Dayton. She graduated from Dayton High School in 2017, and then went to Eastern Kentucky University, where she received a bachelor's in criminal justice. So she pretty much checked the boxes for me. She got her criminal justice degree. I've known her as a student athlete and a student down here at Dayton High School, making many achievements down here. And when I heard she was wanting to be a police officer, and it was exactly who I was looking for to be the future of this department. There are some people here, such as me and Tony and some older guys that aren't always going to be here. So we got to hire the new generation of police officers to police Dayton. So what we need to do is have Mayor Baker do the oath of office and swear her in, and then I'll present her with her badge and make it official.
Mallory, if you please repeat after me. I swear that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of police officer. That I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of police officer of a fourth-class city. That I possess the required qualifications. And that I shall not interfere with any election. So help me God. There you go. Congratulations.
All right. And then secondly, we had Sergeant Getz. Zach's been with us for 5 years. It's been debatable when he started and but he went to the academy, I believe, in August, got out in October, something like that. So he's been with the department about 5 years. Sergeant Wilkie's our lone supervisor at the time. Myself and Lieutenant Baldwin decided we needed to have another test, have a test available to have the next sergeant. We had a lot of guys on the street and only 2 supervisors during the day and 1 at night. And one we had that retired, who was our K-9 guy, Officer Marksberry. So we conducted a test, which Zach came out number 1 on the test. We had an interview panel of some commanders in surrounding areas. We had a captain from Campbell County, a captain from Newport, and a captain from Fort Thomas PD. Came down, did the interviews, and Zach came out on top. So when it came down to make the decision, it was a no-brainer. And I just want to give Zach a certification of promotion. So he was promoted on August 16th is when he actually got his sergeant stripes. And basically kind of how we do it is we let his wife come forward and pin his sergeant badge on his chest. right, congratulations, Zach. So here's a certificate of promotion. It's on your new promotion for sergeant. And kind of how we talked about your 5 years of service. So you're at the 5-year mark, and I'm also presenting you with an award of 5 years of service. All right, thank you. Okay. That is all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Sure.
You want to do that?
You're up on photo duty for the city page.
Well, that was a fun one. That was a lot of fun. We got a great police force, and we're growing, and we're promoting from within. I mean, how awesome is that? Next up on the agenda is the public hearing pursuant to KRS 132.027. The city of Dayton will hold a public hearing for the purpose of hearing comments from the public regarding the 2022 proposed tax rate. So at this point, anybody would like to take a stand? We will go ahead and close that out. Next up is the minutes. The approval of minutes from September 6, 2022 City Council meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from September 6? Member Volters moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Member Kelly. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Member Baszler abstained due to your absence, I believe. Understood. Thank you very much, sir. Now I'd like to give the podium to anybody who would like to address council for any legislation that's on tonight's agenda. Not seeing anybody take the podium. So we'll go ahead and close those comments out now. Next on the agenda is the ordinances. This is the second reading of ordinance 2022 number 22. This is the real estate tax rate for 2022. Can I please have a reading, Ms. Myers?
City of Dayton, Kentucky, ordinance number 2022, number 2022, an ordinance providing for the position levy, collection, and apportionment of taxes for the city of Dayton, Campbell County, Kentucky for the fiscal year July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. This ordinance sets the real property ad valorem tax rate for the city for the present fiscal year at .470 per $100 of value for the general fund and .50 per $100 of value for parks. The tax rate for automobiles and watercraft is set at .5009 per $100 of value and at .750 per $100 of value for all other personal property. The ordinance requires that all real property and other tangible property, excluding motor vehicles and motorboats taxes, be paid by November 30th, 2022. Taxes not paid by this date shall become delinquent. Taxes paid during the first 3 days after they become delinquent will be assessed at 1% penalty. Any taxes not paid more than 3 days after they become delinquent shall be subject to a penalty of 10% and shall accrue interest at a rate of 12% per annum until paid. The delinquent taxpayer shall also pay all costs, attorney fees, and other expenses incidental to any action taken by the city for collection of the delinquent taxes. This ordinance also sets bank deposits at 25 fifth thousandths of 1% of those deposits. The payer of these taxes may pay the sum due less 2% if paid by December 31st, 2022, or the full amount by January 31st, 2023.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Do I have a motion to accept the ordinance 2022, number 22?
Move to accept ordinance 2022.
Member Volters made the motion. Do I have a second? Second by Member Lovins, which opens up the floor for comments regarding this ordinance.
I talked about this before the meeting started. We are accepting the compensating rate plus 4%, which we're allowed to do under state law. Of course, inflation is 9 to 10%. If we don't take the 4%, we're still losing another 6% to inflation. So we are taking the 4%, which we're allowed to take. And that was budgeted at 4% this year, and it's the same as what we did last year.
I have a question. So for the foreseeable future, do you anticipate that every year we take the 4%?
Not necessarily. If the value of the property increases substantially, we may actually have a reduction in value. But the problem is we got $100 million more in property in the city, but it was all exempt because it was all done through IRB. So we're getting pilots instead of taxes. So we are getting money through the pilots, but it's only 20% because it's in the TIF area. So we're still getting that money, but it's not in the form of taxes. It's in the form of payments in lieu of taxes. Does that make sense? And it's confusing. But because it's in the city's name, that property's technically in the city's name, and it's in the city's name for like 25 to 30 years, how long that bond issue is, we don't get actual taxes from that. So we got $100 million increase in value of property, but we're not seeing it on our tax roll because it's exempt.
When
So-
would that be on the tax roll?
What's that?
When would that be on the tax roll?
25 to 30 years after the,
From now?
so, and even that amount we're getting the pilot, we're only getting 20% of that because 80% goes to the developer to pay for all the development costs that have been incurred. So we're only seeing a small percentage. So if we were getting all that value, it would be one thing. We would be taking probably a reduction in cost, but because of the TIF and the IRB, we're not getting that value in the form of taxes.
Historically, have we always taken 4% every year?
I would say for the last 3 years has been, 2 years ago, you didn't have to take it because your value rose so much
Mhm.
that you actually took a reduction. I think it was 2 years ago, right? Yeah. So we've taken the last 2 years,
Yeah, we tap the street.
but that's an IRB.
So with an IRB, we've been approving these IRBs. Are you saying that any property that was financed by an IRB is tax exempt from city taxes?
Yes, but they're paying the same amount in a pilot. So they're paying it through a contract. We're getting the same amount, but it's coming through a contract and not through taxes.
Through a pilot.
It's a payment in lieu of taxes. And it's the full amount, and it's split 80-20. We're getting the full amount, but it's not taxes, it's a payment in lieu of taxes, which is a contract with the developer.
Well, the 80/20 only applies to IRBs that are in the current TIF. district,
That's correct.
Not any other IRBs.
That's correct. So that's correct. But most of the IRBs that we are doing are in the TIF district.
It is confusing, and people are thinking that the folks on the riverfront aren't paying taxes. I've heard it 1,000 times. They're not paying taxes, and you just give everything away. That's not true. Mr. Huntley is out in
Yeah,
the,
he pays taxes.
he pays 100% of
Anybody
his
who owns-
taxes.
Anybody owns it in their own name, the Gateway Apartments wasn't done as an IRB. Gateway pays taxes. But that apartment and the new developments that Brendan Sullivan's doing are IRBs. And they do it because they're able to reduce the other taxes from the other taxing districts, and they can use that money for the infrastructure they need to build the properties. That's why.
For the roads, for the pipes, the lights.
But, and this is a question I posed often, I'm still not clear on the answer. Let's say. In a TIF district, let's say that it's $100 million of added property value. We get 100% of that taxes, but only keep 20%. The
That's
other
correct.
80% has to go back to the developer. But on the books, is that valued for tax calculation purposes? Is that valued at 100 million or at 20 million? Because we're only keeping 20% of that tax revenue.
Right, they're not counting the exempted properties.
So the
They're
exempted,
required to give the full value of the property, which is now, for instance, almost $60 million. I think that's what it was. down
right?
there with the apartment complex.
So on the PVA report, it would be, in this scenario,
Full value
$100 million
there, but
extra.
It's exempt because the city technically owns that property, and we have this lease with them to build that. And then we lease it basically for 30 years, and the IRB's done, and then it becomes no longer exempt.
Now, are we getting pilot or payment in lieu of taxes on the properties that are already there, such as the old, what was previously Tapestry?
You don't, any properties that are there that don't have an IRB, it's just regular taxes. So until they develop them, for instance, Brendan Sullivan has these properties, he was paying taxes on them, but once the IRB goes into effect, the taxes become a pilot, payment in lieu of taxes. It's a contract instead of a tax bill. So they're paying on this contract rather than on the tax bill. It's the same amount. They pay the same amount. It's just a different way of getting it. And it's not reflected in our numbers.
But the city itself, still in a pilot payment, the city does not have to give back 80% of that pilot, do we?
Yes. So it's basically no different. It's in the TIF district. So no matter whether it's a pilot or taxes, 80% of that goes to the developer, 20% goes to the city until the TIF district ends.
I mean, this agreement, this TIF agreement was made, what, 15 years ago, probably?
That's the
2008,
earliest.
somewhere around there?
Yeah, the activation date, I think, was I can't remember, around 2009, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was 08, 09 is when they first started the.
I think it was 29. So you got another 15 years, at least another 15 years.
Okay, thanks. And that's one of the most confusing things about property taxes. And as you said, Mayor, that they don't pay taxes down on the riverfront. The individual property owners do pay full taxes, not only property taxes, but also insurance taxes and vehicle taxes and everything
Same
else.
taxes as everybody else in 41074.
Except about power of 10 above what I pay.
And all the
Because of the
individual
value.
homeowners do pay taxes. All the people who own the homes there do pay taxes. It's just the apartments and the condo developments which have the IRBs.
Understood. Thank you.
I know it can be confusing, so thanks for asking questions. Comments are still available for any council members. All right, we're going to go ahead and close comments. I had a motion by Member Volter, a second by Member Lovins. Comments are being closed. Do I have a roll call? Ms. Myers?
Member Lovins? Member Baszler?
Aye.
Member Volter? Member Neary? Member Neiman? Member Kelly?
Aye.
The ayes have it unanimously. Next on the agenda is the second reading, ordinance 2022, number 23. This is an ordinance creating section 150.04, a new section of chapter 150 of the Dayton Code of Ordinances to adopt NFPA 1 Fire Code, NFPA 101 Life Safety Code, and NFPA 70 National Electric Code. Do I have a motion to accept ordinance 2022, number 23? Member Neary's made the motion. Do I have a second? Member Lovins has made the second, which opens up the board to comments. So anybody from council like to comment on this motion? Sure, of course.
So last meeting, the fire chief explained a little bit about this. I know you were absent. The state adopts these codes every 2 years, and they just adopted the most recent fire code. Is that you? And so we need to adopt it in the city so that we are compliant with the state in terms of the fire code. That's all it is. And so every couple of years, we have to do this. Even though it's the 2018 version that we're adopting, and there's a 2021 version that's out, the state is 3 years behind. They're adopting the 2018, and we have to adopt the same thing. We can't adopt the 2021.
Any other comments regarding this ordinance?
This could also, especially for future construction, this could, going up to these current standards,
Mr. Neary, your microphone, I know, it's annoying.
okay, going to these new standards, adopting this can positively affect fire insurance rates for property owners. Because right now, many of the properties in town are not even up to the old standard. So establishing this as a new standard can benefit the citizens in their maybe a slight reduction in fire insurance costs.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments regarding the ordinance? Questions? All right, we'll go ahead and close the comment section. So we had a motion by member Neary, a second by member Lovins. Can I have a roll call vote, please, Ms. Myers?
Member Baszler?
Aye.
Member Volter? Member Neary? Member Neiman?
Aye.
Member Kelly?
Aye.
Member Lovins?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Next on the agenda would be Resolution 2022, number 32 Romeo, appointing Tara Chambers to the Dayton Housing Authority.
Councilmember asked that I give a little background on this. Ms. Chambers lives in the Housing Authority, which is great. I think she works in the school library at maybe at Lincoln. Under state law, the mayor has to appoint members of our Housing Authority Board. He's the chairman of the board, and there are 4 other members. We were short of one, and she would make it a full complement. And she was recommended by Gordon Henry, who is the current executive director. So this is just simply appointing her to that position. It's important that we approve it tonight because we have a vote coming up next Monday night in a special session to appoint a new executive director of the Housing Authority. We've been looking for a couple months. We had a candidate who took another job. So we found another excellent candidate, and we're hopeful that the board will see that she's a good candidate and hire her on Monday night.
So the role's been open. It's a very important role, I believe. Dayton Housing Authority executive director in the city. Great candidate, recommended from multiple people that we know and respect. So we're lucky to be able to have that role and be able to keep the control of that housing authority local, which I believe is pretty important that we control it versus an outside entity.
So this is appointing Ms. Chambers to the authority, not appointing her as the, so.
Board is the one that actually appoints the executive director.
Member Volters made the motion. Man, come on. Do we have any other comments? Roll call, please, Ms. Myers.
Member Volter? Member Neary? Member Neiman? Member Kelly?
Aye.
Member Lovins?
Aye.
Member Baszler?
Aye.
Two more. Next one on the agenda is the order 2022 number 4 Romeo. This would be appointing Angela, is it Bain? Bainey? As Assistant City Clerk Treasurer. As we all know, Ms. Myers has taken over for Donna Ledger. We are extremely impressed with her work, and she needs an assistant. So we're looking to ask for your approval to appoint Ms. Bainey.
Mayor, I had a council member also ask me to give a little background on this one too.
Oh, please do.
So we did a regional search for a new city clerk. Of course, Tiffany was one of the candidates, and we had a number of other candidates who were very qualified. So Lynn and I and Megan from the Ed District conducted those interviews. And one interview we thought went very well, and we thought we would consider her for the assistant positions. And she currently works in small business. She runs it. She does the books. She handles customer service. A lot of the same things that you would do as a city clerk. So based on that, and Tiffany actually had breakfast with her too. I wanted to make sure they got to know each other, and she felt it was a good fit. And we did that about a week ago or so. So based on that, our recommendation is that we hire her for the assistant position.
Has she been hired yet?
She is not. This is the, so normally the mayor appoints people to jobs, except our ordinances require that the city clerk and the assistant city clerk both be approved by you all. So that's why this is before you. You're wondering, why are we doing this? Because we normally don't. In those cases, our ordinance says that you all have to approve his recommendation.
You seem concerned, Jess.
Just typical smart comment, that's it. So we're going to hire someone that we haven't met or seen anything about? You want council to do that?
If you'd like to ask for further clarification, if you'd like to meet her, and that's more.
That's why I was just curious why.
Yeah, it's by the ordinance, you all have to approve it. But I mean, she seems like the most qualified based on all the other candidates that would apply for the job. So I guess you could take away notice if you all decide you don't want to hire her.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay, all right.
Ben's reading my face, like I told him it's gonna be a smart comment. Matt, don't ask the question, Ben.
She always asks questions, Jess.
Mayor, I'm going to move to approve 2022-34
I will mark that you made the motion. Member Neiman's made the second.
I'm gonna third, just so you know I'm on board.
I didn't even know that. That's unprecedented. We have a third. Which opens it up for comments. Do we have any more comments regarding this motion? Roll call, please, Ms. Myers.
Member Neary?
Aye.
Member Neiman?
Aye.
Member Kelly?
Aye.
Member Lovins?
Aye.
Member Baszler?
Aye.
Member Volter?
Aye.
The ayes have it with a third, an unprecedented third. The last ordinance order that we have tonight would be Resolution 2022, number 35 Romeo, approving the sale of 1109er 7th Avenue to GMFRO LLC. As we all remember, this address, 1109er, was gifted to the city. We purchased in foreclosure, and we put it out to bid, and we put it out to offer, and there was an offer made. And
So the woman who owned it got sick, and she moved up north with her daughter. They wanted to give it to the city. but there were all these liens and things on it, and we couldn't take it. Otherwise, we would have been responsible for paying all these county tax bills. So we took it through foreclosure to clean up the title. And so we bought it for $30,000, and we knew it was a good property with a lot of potential to be rehabbed, and made us a single family home. And we have an offer for $55,000. So we did pretty good on that. We spent about $1,500 cleaning it out. So, and there's a commission on that as well. So we did pretty well.
I have a question. So 55,000 in this market is really cheap. Well, is it awful?
The property needs a lot of work.
Okay.
I mean, it's got to be completely gutted and redone. Well, I think the electric's pretty good, but there's a bathroom on the first floor that's just nothing's in it, and it just needs to be, it needs some new siding, and there's some issues. But yeah, we got it for $30,000. If it was a really good property, it would have gone for a lot more than $30,000 in a foreclosure sale. But we just saw the potential of it, and after it got cleaned up, we got the value of, $25,000 more than what we paid for it.
Okay. And also, where did you post this sale?
What's
Or
that?
where did you post this
RPLMS,
listing?
right?
Where did we wait?
Where was it being offered?
We
for
hired a
sale?
real estate agent, and we listed
Okay,
it.
so it was on the MLS?
Yeah, so
Okay.
anybody could have purchased it, yeah.
Okey-doke.
So we had two offers. This was the best offer. And he also indicated that he planned to make it a owner occupied property and not a rental property, which was important to us.
Do we have a motion to accept that? All right, so the motion's been made, the second's been made. Do we have any more comments? All right, Joe, you're lying to me, man. Usually my notes are better than that. Do we have a motion to,
I'll make that motion.
thanks, Member Baszler. Baszler's made the motion. Do we have a second? Niner. Do we have a second? You can't do that.
I'll second.
Member Lovins can do that. Any other comments? COVID. Comments are closed. Roll call, please, Ms. Myers.
Member Neiman. Member Kelly.
Aye.
Member Lovins.
Aye.
Member Baszler.
Aye.
Member Volter. Member Neary.
And it closes unanimously. Do we have any other audience comments regarding anything you want to speak about? So the podium is yours.
My name is Jerry Huntley, and I do live down at Manhattan Harbor. And yes, we do pay taxes, I promise you. I pay my taxes. Real quick, the only reason I was here is we met Rick, who is the gentleman who's been mowing the area down there, and he is an incredible individual. We're very lucky to have him in our area. And in talking to Rick, I had asked Rick, and I've talked to Jay a couple times, and I just wanted to ask the council if there's anything that we can help do to purchase or get the equipment that's needed to clean up the riverbank on the trailway. And just to give you an example, I took a walk down there a couple nights ago. I sent Jay a couple pictures. I met a young lady, and it was right at dusk. And she looked when she saw me coming down, and you could tell she was hesitant about wanting to meet someone because it is now grown up to the point we can't see from our home any of the trail anymore. And we used to be able to see it all the way up through. And it's just, the neighbors have asked me to just mention to you all, which is why I'm here, what can we do to try to make it safer down there for people? Not that anything has happened yet. However, as I mentioned to Jay before, and I've talked to the police a couple times, there are people coming down and fishing on the riverbank and have had no issues with them whatsoever. But there's also been kids down there, probably age 16 to 20, smoking pot down on the riverbank. Not every weekend, but pretty often. And again, when they had it cleaned off after the gentleman from Michigan came down and cleared it off, that was not happening because you had a clear shot and everybody could walk and everybody could see everybody. And that is not the way it is anymore. So I didn't know if it would be advantageous for us together to approach Campbell County to see if we could get help. I'm assuming from talking to Jay that this piece of equipment Rick needs is about $70,000. And my first comment was, before hearing everything tonight about the IRB, is that, well, in the big picture, that the $70,000 is not a big issue. But obviously, if you're not pulling as much income as I thought you were because of the IRBs, it could be an issue. So is that something that maybe some of us could help approach the county about? And I just want to throw a couple ideas out. And if we can help anyway, we'd love to. But it has been so nice in the past. And it's just, and I'd love to sell you a new microphone system too, by the way. But that's off the record. But anyway, if there's anything that, we can do or call people, talk to people, we're more than willing to do so. So that's all I have. But thank you.
Yeah, so Rick and I did meet with Campbell County to see whether they could come. They have a device that is a device that.
Yeah, it just lays out.
What's that?
It lays out on
Lays
the
out,
side.
yeah, it's like on a boom, and that's what we need to
Mhm.
do both sides of the trail. We could also use it on Dayton Pike and other places where we have growth that's coming, and it's really nice. It can go at an angle, it can go flat, and they say it's pretty durable. There's a lot of rocks down there. They say the rocks aren't too bad with it. They will bounce off of it. So Campbell County we said, can you come and do this for us? We pay, Campbell County taxes. They said, we can probably do it, but it won't be until the end of the year. And we can't do the whole thing when we get it done. We can only do like this first section. We can only do it once a year. So it needs to be cut 3 times a year. So we started looking at equipment, and there's a Bobcat with this device that does it. It's around $70,000, but it would be really effective and easy to cut that because it will span out to 8 feet. So you can, and it would make it much safer there and more inviting to the public, and you'll see more of the river as well. But it's $70,000, which is not cheap, but we're looking at, can we finance it over a period of time? And that's my last conversation with the Bobcat dealer was, how can we maybe finance this over a 3-year period? Because we need it now.
Yeah.
And so, and it's always a budget issue. So yeah, we're on it, and we spent a bunch of money to take down the trees last year. And we took down the larger trees all the way up to like the SD1 ramp. But as you know, those weeds, the river brings those seeds down and they just pop up. And we've had a very wet summer. So they're pretty bad. And so.
Totally agree. And again, we're not wanting to be someone who's complaining or griping, but at some point in time, something is going to happen and we're all going to say, gosh, we wish we'd have done it. And that's our concern. And, because again, when the kids were playing in the riverbank, we were there to be able to tell them, no, you guys shouldn't be down here, get your little rear ends home or whatever. But with it grown up, we have no way of seeing or until we either smell pot or whatever, then we know kids are down there. I just know that some of the ladies are very concerned about their safety.
Right.
That's all I have to say.
So Jerry, one other thing too, you should know, the phase 2 project is, we're trying to get it built. And as part of that, there's funding for both landscaping, both on phase 2 and phase 1. Problem is that we got the bids back and it's a lot higher than we projected. So we're going back to the state, trying to find more money to help pay for that. But if we get that money for landscaping, a lot of that will be taken care of.
Okay.
But it does need to be, even when they're not landscaping, it does need to be cut back. So we definitely need that equipment too.
Totally understand. And this is no reflection on anyone here, but I can tell you that we were all made a lot of promises that have not come to fruition. And that was made by, I personally met multiple times before purchasing our home with Mr. Giffen, with Cindy, with various people. I've come to the zoning meetings, et cetera. And a lot of, Number one is the trail would be completed within 6 months. We obviously know that didn't happen. And number two was the trail would be cut, kept clean 100%. And then that, I don't know if I should say this or not, but the building contractors would be kept in proper alignment with the city codes, the HOA governing guidelines, et cetera. And that's not happened. Period. And
In what way?
there were promises made at the zoning committee meetings and approved that my personal view would not be blocked whatsoever. And it has been completely blocked. And yes, I've been negotiating with Brendan for 9.5 months with no resolution. And this is more, in my opinion, the county's issue probably than your folks here. But if it gets ugly, it's going to bring everybody into it, which I don't want to do. But on the other hand, it's just goofy that nobody follows up on that kind of stuff, et cetera. Other things that were, and I am, just so that you guys know, I have kind of been elected the spokesperson for the 8 homes that are down there now. And I am trying my best to get Mark to turn over to set up the HOA so that we can get the lighting issues and stuff taken care of. I've done everything I could. And I'm still working on that. I did have a conversation with Paul Darple again, and hopefully it's in the process. I cannot get a direct answer as to what the holdup is. And I didn't know if there was a way that you guys could put some pressure on them to get this done, because my wife and 2 other ladies, myself and Craig, are the ones that's doing all the maintenance on all of the shrubs, everything. The only thing Rick is doing, God love him, is mowing and helping out. But we're doing all the rest of it. I pay for the flags, just so you know. It's ridiculous. And that's the problem. It is not set up. They will not turn it over to us.
Don't they have to turn it over to you after a period of time?
After 85% occupancy is the way that it was set up, I believe. And that's the frustrating part.
That was set up 10 years ago.
I don't know. I've been here 4.5. And take this the way I mean it too. When we moved in down there, none of us were expecting multifamily homes. I mean, it was supposed to all be residential. And then all the promises again were made at this zoning meeting. And at that point in time, we did agree. And I even stood up and spoke that as long as this happens, we're in support of it 100%, et cetera, which we were, because I thought it was a better option than maybe it going broke and the whole thing going under. But things have just not happened the way we were told it was going to happen. And, I'm at the point where we just need resolution on our issue, number one, but more importantly is I don't want to see anybody get hurt down on the pathway. That's my biggest concern right now. And that's just something waiting to happen right now. Now, we have not had the kids issue like we used to have, swimming in the river this summer at all. So, but
Correct me if I'm wrong, it's still public access.
Yes.
So.
It's a what?
Public
it's still
access
public
beach.
Access, that whole shoreline, so people can fish down there.
Yeah.
So there we have the right, that is public access along the trail.
yeah,
On the,
that's not, and I've spoken to the policeman. We have no problems with the guys going down there fishing and stuff. That's not been an issue whatsoever. It's just the other things with the ladies and stuff walking back and forth that.
I feel pretty with that because I did the trail halfway and it wasn't very far. And I was like, oh, this is a little sketchy. There was someone that was up a distance sitting and
Yep.
it was just better that I turned around because it's
And then when it was wide open, you did not feel that discomfort. So, okay.
Is there any sort of funding from like the Army Corps? Since it's, they have requirements about how their program is maintained.
So
That would, help to keep these weeds and the overgrowth down.
we're in the process of working through South Bank with them on what they call an ecosystem. I can't remember the name of it, but they're going to come in and get rid of invasive species and plant native species and do some erosion control measures. It's been a long process. We've been working on it for 5 years. You know how the Corps is. So
Since I've been here.
but we're getting close to signing an agreement to have them finally do that, and that will help too. So we got a few things, but they're not immediate help. Is what what you want to know. The immediate help would be the equipment, but that will help as well because they'll get rid of a lot of the invasive species and plant stuff that's better for that area.
How much is it to rent? Are you able to rent that machine for like once?
Does ours, or does
We could-
ours or
we could-
somebody else's?
We could check Arts or one of the other rental places and see if it's available. Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad idea. We could check that. I'm not sure.
This is one of those instances where there's no equipment sharing between cities and the county. We want to buy a street sweeper, but we only use it a couple of hours a month, where other cities can share it. I think from the county's perspective, whether we rent it or that would be one way of trying to get that equipment when we need it.
I asked them if we could borrow it and they said no, they'd have to operate it.
Oh, I'm sure they have. I've watched him on Covert Run.
Yeah, that's where they use it. Yeah, in the city. Yeah.
That's something else. What are the property lines there? Your property on your home?
Hmm?
Does it stop at the top of the riprap there?
About 5 feet down the riprap.
We basically have said that the city will maintain everything from the trail to the river and that the property owner should maintain south of the.
So we're actually maintaining city property just,
We'll cut it back away from the trail, but everything else on the hillside, they need, that's their responsibility.
but it's still city-owned property,
It is. Okay,
just for the record.
okay.
The property line, well, we had that issue with the trail, the second phase of the trail. We had that question of the development on the lines. Yeah, I agree with what you were saying about the Army Corps of Engineers, and I've read some about their projects for shoreline replenishment and control. And definitely South Bank, I think it needs to be brought to the table on this, because they're obviously helping finance this trail.
Right.
But the long-term maintenance is really the issue, not only this type of stuff, but a lot of work. Every time it floods, we have to go down the spring and clean it. I think that's something we need to look at on all of these projects. It's okay, this is great now, but what about 2, 5, 10 years down the road?
Right.
I know there's no water down here. There's no water connection to be able to hose it off.
That's correct. There is not.
There's no drinking infrastructure installed down there?
There is, conduit has been installed. Not funding for lighting yet, so the idea is to put the conduit in and then get a grant.
Use your water, Jerry? So can we use your water? Hook up a hose.
Those zoning meetings that you're referring to, like when did that go on that promises were made that you feel are they have not been held to? Like, is this? Okay.
I believe. Jay had, one of the things that was, it was the night that the resolution was made to approve the zoning change to multifamily homes. And I had my iPad here, I would play it. We had Brendan stating that our view would not be blocked. He stood in my bedroom and said, your view will not be blocked out that window. There was an honest mistake made. He read the prints wrong and he shared them. Because the engineering firm showed
So I go on a business trip to Orlando and I come back and the foundation was laid out, poured and whatever, all in one day or all in 1 week that I was gone. So at that point it was then, well, we're going to work this out. And that's been 9.5 months with no resolution. And thank goodness the house to the west of us got moved 18 inches back toward the river. And I'm on the same business trip 2 years later. And I get a phone call from my wife, you've got to go see Cindy. I'm like, honey, I'm in trade show. And she's like, I'll go see Cindy. So we started making phone calls and we did get the home moved forward 18 inches. But what's scary is I'm on the zoning committee. Okay. I joined the zoning committee just for these types of reasons. The plans that we approved showed the homes even on the back side. The plan that Beth was shown at Campbell County showed the home 18 inches back farther with the same date, no revision, etc. Somebody's playing games. And Cindy made the comment, well, this is what was approved. And Beth said, no, this is what was approved, and showed her the plans that we approved at the meeting. So that's the situation that we've got. Things are not being followed up on. And I can go into multiple things that have happened with the builder that we don't need to discuss here that I'm trying to work through individually. It's just been a nightmare. Jake and
Can you just do the filter and all that good stuff?
if I do, it's going to drag the zoning committee, the city, the county, and everything into it. Yes, I can. And that's my option. That I don't want, living here, I don't want to be that type of person. You know, I would rather get just a basic just resolution and get it taken care of. I'm not asking for the moon, I promise you. I just want it taken care of, and I'm not getting cooperation. And, you know, and Brendan's comment is, well, you know, Campbell County agreed to this. Well, Campbell County did not agree to it once the zoning committee made the motion to accept with the comments that were made and the promises made at the meeting that you were asking about. And it's literally, the motion was made stating, as per this conversation, we will accept to move forward. And it states it right on the end of that meeting. And I mean, I've got it. It's there. So, and again, Jay has seen that as well. And that's,
Talked a lot about it, and a lot of this is Campbell County. They do all our zoning and building, as our staff for that. So, and they've just lost one of their inspectors to Newport. So I think that they're struggling a little bit to handle some of these things right now. So, but I understand your frustration. We've talked a lot about it. And,
sure.
and I'm hoping you and Brenda can work out this deal. So,
And real, you know, the only thing I've asked for is just for the city and the county both to put a little pressure on Brendan to do something. You know, when they poured one perfect example, when they poured the foundation, I have from this all the way down the whole side of my house, concrete splatters all over it, my whole back patio full of concrete splatters. The carpet had to be pitched. The deck box had to be pitched. The pillars had to all be completely refinished at my expense, all repainted, all sanded. Who else is going to pay for it? You know, I mean, that's why I'm frustrated, and I have been frustrated. It's a private issue, but if I have to go there, it opens a big can of worms. And that's why I'm trying as professionally as I can. I've been in business for years, both in Adams County. I grew up in a little town in West Union, Ohio. I lived in Portsmouth for a while and whatever, but I've just never seen the lack of follow through, not from the city as much as the county, basically, in reference to keeping contractors in line. I mean, I wouldn't accept personally the Holmes Foundation beside me that's being built to the west. A whole different situation, but they didn't have anybody to come check it. So anyway, but thank you for listening to my concerns. And if we can help visit, with the county or make some phone calls or try to get grants. I've written grants for school districts and places like that in the past. I'm happy to help do things like that. Anything I can do, I'm more than happy to do, make phone calls. I'm in Frankfurt all the time. I'm in Lexington all the time. Just please contact me, have Jay. Jay and I talk a lot together. I'm more than happy to do anything I can to help us move forward with this. Okay? Thank you. Mhm.
Thanks for your efforts, Jerry. We appreciate that. Podium is still open for any other audience comments. Mr. Dady, you're the last one in the crowd. You got any comments? We appreciate you being here, sir.
By the way, in case you don't know, Dady does does all of our foreclosure work. So he's a lawyer, and all the hard work that code enforcement's doing when we bring a suit, he's the man that does it. He's doing a great job. So if you're wondering who that was, that's who it is.
Thanks for showing up, Jim. Do we have any unfinished business, council, since a week and a half ago? Member Vaser?
Just on that river conversation, I just remember Brendan in one of his conversations talking about just pouring like Roundup on the river, and I would really like that to never happen where we're treating our riverbanks with glyphosate. So I'm just going to add that to the ethos there.
Definitely. We all live downstream, man. I believe that. Any other comments from council for unfinished business? No? Closing that out. How about new business? Anything you want to get up between now and next council meeting in October? Member Bolter? Yes, sir.
I just noticed coming down here that the Fifth and Marion crosswalk is non-existent. Yeah, they faded so much that you really can't see anything. You got those kiddos, going through there every day.
Yeah. I'll make a note.
I said they fade to the point where you just can't even see them.
So that KYTC should be on top of that.
Fifth and Marion.
Fifth and Barry's us.
Fifth and
Oh, they
Marion.
said Sixth and Berry.
Fifth and Marion.
Okay.
Right there.
All right. We already sent it to Rick. Beauty of technology there. You're welcome, Councilman. Any other new business to bring before council and administration?
We have challenges like this. I want to talk about public works, helping out over the summer. We have so much city property, too many city-owned lots that we've taken over. And we have to maintain, because I get, it's in your neighborhood, you get excited, it's all grass, and the city's property is just as bad, if not worse. It's very frustrating. I'd like to, really examine some of these properties that we do own, their individual lots, et cetera, and really take a good hard look at sell them and put them on some and get tax revenue out. Unless there's a good reason that we're gonna save the development or something along those lines. But I think that really needs to be looked at. Secondly, as far as public works, kudos to them. Like I said, this year has been just watching how many times we've had to cut the flood wall and watching them build the parks and stuff. This has been one of the wetter Augusts and September that we've ever had. And all this stuff's done in August, still growing. I'm hoping, I'm asking the administration, especially since we just approved the tax increase, that in next year's budget, if not sooner, to add a fifth head count in public works. If you so deem it necessary, because those guys are overloaded right now. And a lot of the complaints that I see and hear are, we'll get to it. We'll get to it when we can. And in many cases, it is a matter of manpower, not just equipment.
And priorities, what are,
And priorities.
Right.
So that's, I'm just hoping that we can take a closer look at how much of our public works manpower is taken up just with maintenance versus new projects.
I agree. And how many properties do we own? Like, why?
Well, there's a lot of them, like the flood wall is technically city property.
Yeah, but I'm talking about actual properties.
we don't have this, And we hoard empty lots, but we're trying to sell those. I've been talking to a couple developers.
I
What's
thought
that?
I said 40.
40?
Am I wrong on that?
What, 40?
Like complete lots?
Well, some of them are parking lots, some of them are public, or, but I don't think we only own about 10 or 12, I think, that are
Okay, so-
residential type lots.
So you're talking about empty lots, maybe burnouts or something like that?
But burnouts, or they, like we had one on 10th, we had to tear down because it was caving in, and that's now an empty lot, but it's also got a great view. So if somebody wants to spend some money, like Red Knot's done, you could put a really nice place
My
there.
point is, let's start marketing those lots. The
Well,
ones we want to get rid of.
I'm behind the scenes working on that. I'm talking to a couple different developers that are doing infill.
We
But
we
they
did
want,
that
they
tonight.
want the nicer ones. They don't want them in certain neighborhoods, so.
Understood.
We did that tonight when we, accepted for 1109.7s.
Right, I'm using that as an example. I think that's what we need to do more of, unless there is a long-term plan to put different properties together. And
Land banking.
We don't own any structures. Any other than public structures. We just own some lots here and there.
Okay, so we don't have empty houses we own.
No,
No,
Okay, that's
We
why
had-
when you said that number, I'm.
no, I'm talking about like lots that,
Okay, that's not.
yeah, these are just empty lots that were maybe a house burned down, or we had to demolish it because it was run down. But yeah, I think this was the last, after we tore down the one on 10th, I think this is the last actual house that we owned. So I don't think we own any more.
a
actual
bunch of those are in the industrial zone
And I'd also like to point out that as far as property values and valuation stuff, we're losing tax on property. The school district has been buying on properties that continue to tax exempt list. We tore down those two houses on Dayton Avenue, which is now a parking lot. Nothing against the church, but that's not how we fund the tax bills anymore. I think we need all of our boards, whether it's planning and zoning or historic preservation, we need to look at the long-term cost of the city of saying, okay, tear it down, put it in the parking lot, or tear it down and make it tax exempt. Because that's not helping us at all.
All right, good points. Any other comments for new business? Anybody? All right, we'll go ahead and close that out. There is one motion for executive session that will be regarding personnel. So we need to go to an executive session for a few minutes.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
Can I have a motion to go into executive session? Member Neiman's made the motion. Thanks, gentlemen. You have a good evening. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second by Lovins. Does anybody need a restroom break or? Leave executive council by member Volter, second by member Neary, thirded by member Lovins. All in favor? Like to accept the motion to adjourn from member Neary. Do I have a second? Member Lovins thirded. We are adjourned. See you in 2 weeks.